Some big news here for Lyon following the Guimaraes news to drop earlier in the week, and a little bit more of a positive note to come into this video. Romain Faivre, 23 years old from Stade Bretois, has appeared to have agreed to a deal with Lyon, and some work between the clubs still to be done to finalize the payment. It looks like he is going to be one of the players used to replace Bruno Guimaraes. We will talk about the other players who they're going to replace in a few days once those players get finalized. So stay tuned and subscribe for that. So let's talk about Romain Faivre, because this is a player, for myself, I've been really interested in having into the team. And while he doesn't replace Bruno Guimaraes, really, I think he provides an interesting player profile that's worth looking at. I'm really glad we're getting him. So let's take a look at his transfer market here. The rumored fee, I think, is going to be about 13 million. Do I have dollars on here? Of course I have dollars. I don't know how to change it, but roughly about 13 million euros, which I think is maybe a little bit overpaying that value. Man, this is what happens when you're a Canadian, have the American dollars. But his transfer value has slowly been going up, and he's had a really, really good season this year. And he's someone I think has had a really good time at Brest recently. If you look at his stats this season, he's got 7 goals in the league and 5 assists, playing predominantly as a winger this season. So definitely a player who, will fit in that position we need. That right winger spot, no one's really grasped that spot this season well. Shaqiri has been pretty poor, all things considered, and Cherokee, Bosch doesn't appear to trust Cherokee at that high level just yet. So this is, in terms of replacing Bruno Guimaraes, it not necessarily, but it helps improve another position. Let's take a look at Romain Faivre's season on FotMob here. Let's take a look at, his games in all competitions. As you can see here, average rating 7.5, which obviously FotMob rating not exactly a science of anything, but he certainly had a really good season. Some of his best performances coming against Nice, a team we're directly fighting against in the table. Man of the match against Marseille, man of the match against Lens, man of the match against Lille. Definitely some great games, and a lot of great performances here for Stade Brest. Really, really excited for that. His primary position is that right midfielder spot, but he can play, up further on the right-hand side, play on the left, down the middle. There's a lot of options there. Now, the one thing that makes you really excited for this player is a few things. So this is compared against attacking midfielders and wingers. This is footballref.com. And you can see here, this is the type of profile that is replacing Bruno Guimaraes. And that it's the similar, I guess, game actions that you're looking for. So assists in the 63rd percentile, assists per 90. But the passing stats are where he really excels here. He's in the top 69% of passes attempted, top 75% or top 25% is percentile. The 75th percentile, progressive passes is one that's really, really key. And that was something that Bruno Guimaraes was really good at, getting that ball forward, progressively moving the ball up the pitch. Dribbles completed, a very, very good number as well, 86th percentile for attackers and wingers. And a big one here, which, now this is being compared to attackers and wingers, so being in the 90th percentile is definitely not going to be the biggest, the highest, for this. It's not going to be a super big deal, but it means that if you play him in a 4-3-3, play him in that central midfield, maybe not as further forward as he's used to playing, he does have that ability to, make tackles. He's got, average pressures, average interceptions, average clearances. His defensive stats are okay. And, that will be interesting to see if he's to play in that position. Aouar would be the furthest forward central midfielder, or the attacking midfielder we would have that would likely play that style position. So I'm expecting him to be a winger when we sign him. The stats just lead to that. He's a progressive passer. I think I had a team composition that I actually built here that I kind of want to talk about. There we go. Perfect. So I kind of take a look at this team. This is kind of how I would line up the team with Romain Faivre in it. So Faivre kind of makes sense on that right-hand side here. And this kind of requires us to move to a back four. But Romain Faivre on that right-hand side allows us to connect with, hopefully, Bruno Guimaraes. Let's hope he doesn't leave and we get Romain Faivre and keep Guimaraes here, because that would be I think that would be a huge heist for this team to get. If that happened, we would really be in a good position going forward. But I think what's good here is, as a player who can kind of move, who's, will probably come in centrally, and Gusto is a player who really gets up and down that pitch well. I could see the formation almost pushing out into something like this at times, where you have, a 3-5-2, you have these two players who push on, and maybe the defense split. The players we're looking at are likely going to be defensive midfielders. You have the DM come and split, the defenders there. Kakare moves around here, wins balls, what he's really good at, winning balls in these areas. Aouar can drop in, inside as well. And that's the one thing that's interesting about these wingers that we have, or that would play as wingers, is they really like to cut inside, and that's going to give a lot of opportunity for Gusto and Emerson to continue to push forward as they have. One thing that's been a problem with a player such as Shaqiri is Shaqiri often finds himself, existing in this space here. He can come centrally and play balls, out to the left, but he usually operates and plays in this half space here, and that's not really, conducive to the players that we have. With Dubois, it works, but Dubois is a pretty dead player, all things considered. If you don't have anybody really looking to push down that byline, it's going to be a really ineffective side to attack from. But with Gusto, if Romain Faivre, plays as a player, he cuts inside, Gusto can go down the length of the pitch, create opportunities for Toko Ekambi, Dembele, Paqueta. That's going to be huge. And I think that, if we do move back to that 4-2-3-1, I do think that Romain Faivre would be a huge addition on that right-hand side. And I think it would really give us, a really balanced and dynamic attack. Without that deep line playmaker in Guimaraes, you might even see, say, Aouar drop back into this position. He's played deeper before, and, play almost Kakare, Paqueta, and Aouar in this sort of position. Maybe this is how you play in a back three, and then you have Toko Ekambi, and then maybe Romain Faivre as, a lurking player here, kind of as a second striker almost. Not really used to playing that position, but almost have a diamond in the midfield, and allow Emerson and Gusto to be the higher players up the pitch on the wing. I think overall it's a very, very interesting signing, and there's a lot I'm looking forward to tactically with how we will set up with Romain Faivre if he does come in. I think, the signing leads me to believe that Peter Bosz and the team will move back to the 4-2-3-1. It makes the most sense with the personnel we have. But, that is left to be said right now. We've been, sort of successful enough with the, the really defensive mindset in the team. And whether Romain Faivre comes in and changes that, I'm not sure. But for me, this is how I line up. And I think this, with a really solid defensive midfielder, there are some good options we're looking at. That I think this team, while it really pains me that we lose Bruno Guimaraes, a player I think who could have grown with this team for a long time, and selling him, I think, puts Paqueta's future at risk. I think if we sign a good DM, this might just be, I'm not going to say a good thing. We should have just signed Romain Faivre and kept Bruno Guimaraes and invested properly in the team. But I think we fix a problem area potentially on that right-hand side and get a player who could really be a solid winger, despite, his tendency to be a central player. He's been really good on the wing in the last couple seasons. If you guys enjoyed this analysis of what I think, how I think Romain Faivre is going to change the Lyon team and what it means as a signing for Lyon, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think as well. Leave a like, rating, and subscribe. As always, I will see you guys in the next video. And as always, have a wonderful day.